Wait, this is live now. They're hearing this. This is gold.
So the one drive I asked him not to wipe, he took and wiped. So I'm like, excitingly texting him saying, did you put anything on that drive? He's like, no, I've not put one thing on the drive. I'm like, do not put anything on that drive. I'm going to send you a rescue software. I'm going to walk you through marking all those files undelete, and we're going to restore that bad boy.
Well done, Hooper.
Oh,
Unwiping the wiping.
That's how you hack business technology.
it's the constant. It's taking time to keep yourself digitally organized. It's just getting harder and harder.
Oh, yeah. Telling
So
you,
is
new service.
is that because is it because your life is getting longer, or because why is that?
Well, everything now is just so digital. Like I used to have all of my home movies stacked and organized on VHS-C tapes, and then I converted them to DVDs, and they were nice and organized in DVDs, and then I ripped them all into a file share, and I had it on the iMac. Well, then the iMac died, right? So then I had to go to backup, and I put it in some drives, and it was gigs.
Yeah, I think everything is so digital now. That's exactly the challenge, right? So photos are no longer in albums; they're on storage. Videos, even your bank statements, anything and everything now. Like I don't even get mail. I'm kind of sad. I don't get mail.
That's kind of funny. Yeah, we've made a major shift in how we store and retrieve data, but yet the data itself really hasn't changed that much. I mean, of course, there are standards that come and go. MP3 versus FLAC versus whatever for audio. What happens when we don't have progressive change? What happens when it's all on Google Drive or on some cloud service, or it doesn't have that same construct? Does it get easier or worse?
So I have a premium Google Drive, and I've been trying to use it judiciously. Here's the problem with Google Drive for me is I have this one master folder that I shared everything out, but then when it syncs with my devices, that like my wife's AirBook that only has a 150 gig hard drive, it fills it up. So you can't selectively sync in the subfolders.
Yeah, well, there's a couple tools that I use for that. One is called GoodSync. It's actually free, and it's multi-platform too. But it does allow you it'll actually let you choose which subfolders to sync, and then you can map them out to other subfolders. I think if you have more than like 5 mappings, though, then you end up starting to have to pay for it.
That's pretty cool. It does that.
Yeah,
See,
I pay for it.
See, either we need much more of Matt Barron everywhere, or you define me. So what I love about what you do is you've experimented and you're so on top of all these things. You are the ideal productivity consultant. Like you could be the guy that's on the Hoarder Show for the data edition and teach them how to clean up their crap.
And I will hire you tomorrow, Barron, because I am a data hoarder. I'm going through my 3 terabyte external drive that I had just stuff from 8-9 years ago, and I'm like, oh, I kind of want to keep that. That Visio diagram has sentimental value.
Isn't that funny? I love that. Sentiment for files. Like you see the little image, the preview image or whatever that's on the file, and you're like, oh, I remember making that.
Yeah. I remember writing that project plan.
Yeah.
Oh, I was talking about ITIL in 2002. Oh.
Listen to your voice. That's too funny. We joke and we laugh about it, but it's totally true. And the thing is like, so there is someone who's trying to actually fix this. MakerBase is trying to fix this, where you start entering in projects that you've worked on. I don't know what they do for like data. I really haven't messed around with it enough just to make an account and say that I'm working on stuff. But it's meant. I think MakerBase plus GitHub is probably a pretty good like understanding what you're working on, sort of project history for yourself.
Well, GitHub is the resume for the developer, right?
Yeah, and I think it should expand further. Don't you think it should expand beyond the developer?
It should. It should.
Right? I mean, it should be, what's the designer site?
Fiverr?
Fiverr. I mean, it should be integrated with Fiverr for design.
99 Designs. 99 Designs.
99 Designs or any one of those. And I think, yeah, I think if they expanded it a little bit, you could even get writers on there. Certainly, I love messing around with GitHub. I thought it was
So you're saying there should be a website where process consultants actually post their processes, and then people who use that process and purchase that process will rank them as like, yeah, that was a really helpful process, or they can like, derank them like, that actually caused us a nightmare. Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's a good idea. Like, hey, we needed our change process to go faster. They didn't give us enough standard change.
Or someone to help us with our firewall request process or what have you. I mean, I could totally see that. We spend so much. I think, hey, did we just like launch a startup from our like podcast?
Well, we have to give David Mainville some credit probably too.
That's right.
But yeah, I think of that. Think of Mainville's product. What is it, Navia? Yeah, put that together with GitHub. I talked recently. I talked to a company. They're doing integration with ServiceNow and GitHub. What they want to do. This is really interesting.
Oh, okay.
I'm sort of surprised I haven't talked about it on the podcast, but it may be because of vendors. But they want to do A/B testing of their processes. So how do you do that? You have two instances that are both running, and you channel a production change through a separate process in a separate tool and see how it goes. Did that process work better or worse? And have a feedback loop and talk to the customers of the process.
I like it.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice someday if they build that and then ServiceNow steals it from them, and then everyone who's using ServiceNow gets that.
Yeah. Well, any process management tool can do it. Just
only a matter of time, Baron.
Just have two different processes that are triggered, right?
Adam Mason actually pointed it out to me today that the social feed now has a voting feature, and he said they are stealing our hackathon content. That was 5 years ago.
There you have it.
They got to go faster. Everyone in this industry has to go faster. Judiciously faster, right?
Well, speaking of industry and people going faster, in like breaking news that just had me laughing my butt off. So I don't know if you guys saw this article or not, but here's the headline. In a bizarre turn of events, it appears that Windows 3.1 forced the temporary closure of a French airport in Paris last Saturday.
Yes, I saw that article.
3.1.
Yeah. Well, there's tons of industries that have this problem. Your power company probably has Windows 2000 or Windows NT machines, usually because of serial ports on power equipment. Railway companies use microwave.
Railway companies are the worst. It's true. But so the point being is, how can we go faster when we're just 3.1?
Stuck in the past.
Yeah, we just can't let go. And then they blame the app dev folks, right? They're like, it has to do with legacy software, a program called Decor, which is used by air traffic control. Like, really?
Internally they do, but externally they blame the CIO. Right? I mean, am I wrong? I think that's kind of where my head goes right away.
Who would you not blame?
I don't.
I'd blame the CIO. How could you not put an initiative and prioritize that as a huge business risk? How could you not have that as your number one business risk every budget cycle?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't disagree. But like, it's just such a basic problem that so many organizations are struggling with. So the question is, why aren't these CIOs doing that, and why isn't someone kicking their butt for not?
There's such lack of accountability when there's so much complexity.
I suppose.
Especially if they've got complexity where they've got really old machines, because it's likely that they can't change they're not as nimble as a lot of organizations, right? If they've got this problem, this specific problem. Archaic technology killing your security infrastructure. But and then I'll blame the CIO, but then also because it's probably a culture that can't change very quickly, they probably can't accept what do I want to say, subordination. They can't accept someone changing the norm and saying, hey, I know that we've said for 15 years, we have said it's okay, we know it's bad, but no one is ever rewarded or even encouraged to say 15 years is enough.
Yeah. I can't believe they couldn't even get to Windows for Workgroups 3.11. I mean, that's
baby steps. We're not even.
No, they lost one of the 6 floppy disks that does the upgrade.
That's right.
But the thing is that we talk all the time about moving change and shifting culture and being all getting out there and supporting innovation and ways to hack through. But for an organization and many who face such archaic platforms and technologies, and then therefore cultures that are from the Stone Age or what have you, it kind of makes you wonder how do they even begin, and what do we say to them?
It's leadership failure, right? It's leadership failure. I mean, think of air traffic control for a second. Yes, that's clearly a complicated thing, but it is not more complicated than stinking Uber. Uber gives every single person their own little air traffic controller.
Yeah, in many ways, yeah, you're right.
The app pops up and shows me all the little taxis flying around on the runway trying to get to me.
No, it's in 2D. It's different.
It's not. It's not really different, and it's at an excessively massive scale than an air traffic controller, right?
Well, and then there's regulation. How much regulation does Uber have versus FAA?
I don't know. I mean, even if you look at, but do they? I mean, are these just smokes and like mirrors and whatever the concept, barriers that people create or throw up to stand behind as an excuse, right? Because, come on, let's face it, how many times have we been on a client site and they're like, well, audit requires us to have these 50 million fields on my change form. Like, no, they don't.
That's right.
Right? Like, regulations, no.
Of course there are ways to be smart around regulations. But I think, what do I want to say? In an ideal world, they wouldn't be using radar, a really ancient technology to track airplanes. They'd be using cell phones, similar to what Uber is doing. Because that is, like, everyone talks about how many cars Uber has. It doesn't matter. It runs on mobile phones.
Right.
No one has to like upgrade their car to get it done. The FAA, if they want to automate air traffic controllers, they have to change the airplane. Right? I mean, and I think that is the problem. Their key business, like, no matter what you do, yeah, you can buy processes and you can innovate and you can try to change, but there's always going to be a limiting factor in your core business. And I think that is what we're trying to get to when we're talking about innovation, is how do you get that core business principle like mapped out and understood and then advanced somehow.
Yep. Right. That's why we need Bucky paper composite airplanes. I'll put a link in the show notes for y'all.
Bucky paper? Is that magnetic paper?
No, it's a carbon based. It's stronger than steel. It's completely electronic, so you could actually turn your whole airplane into a Wi-Fi relay system. So you could have literally, gigabit airline connections across the airlines, plane to plane, each plane being its own Wi-Fi repeater, and it flies at about 100 times more efficient than a purely composite plane, and like
over Dogo.
300 or 500 times more efficient than a metal plane.
I was thinking Bucky balls. Those little magnetic balls that people
don't know.
Play with. Yeah, they're really awesome. They're all over ThinkGeek. They're super nerdy. People put them on their desks and stuff. And I saw an interesting Kickstarter yesterday, and this one blew my mind because it's a really archaic technology, something that we're all familiar with and use every day, and no one has ever thought to innovate in this specific way, and that is a magnetic notepad. So each page has a little magnet on it, and if you write a book, you can rearrange the pages. Or you could take them out and put them in another book.
That's kind of cool.
Isn't that
That is
awesome?
pretty cool. That is pretty cool.
$100 a notebook.
I like it.
That's way too much, but it's still really cool. $100 a notebook. That one was really cool. I really want one. Just the idea of being able to rearrange, because no one ever wants to. You should see my daughter when I tell her to rip something out of her notebook. She thinks that I'm telling her to take her arm off.
Yeah, it's pretty awful. I would agree. Me being OCD, I hate it. I'd be
So
like,
you don't
no.
take a picture with Evernote and just OCR it and then clean it up?
Yeah, no, I do that.
Really good. I mean, my handwriting is terrible.
Oh, I don't. Not with handwriting. Something else like stuff like this. I take a picture of this.
Oh, that would do awesome on. But actually, when I write my notes in my book, which very occasionally I do, I will take a picture of Evernote, and it actually does a fairly good job of my handwriting. It's terrible as it is.
Really?
Yeah, the OCR is really good in Evernote.
Is your handwriting better than mine? Here, look at mine.
No. No. And
Okay.
that's terrible.
It is pretty terrible.
They have to have brandy for me.
Oh, and here's another good one. This is my daughter. She did a spelling test. Completely,
That's like mine.
It's all backwards.
Yeah, that's mine right there.
This is actually a notebook from Matt Hooper. He spelled they wrong, though. No, stay. S-T-E-I-Y. Come on, Maddie.
I don't know.
I don't know. English is the hardest language in the world, quite honestly.
Did you notice that was grid paper, though? That is uber nerdy. Grid.
It's structural, right? Yeah. And that's the problem with digital stuff, though, too, is it's like there's no structure to it. Everybody wants unstructured data, except when they go to look for something or have a bunch of stuff.
That's the truth.
I think what people want is unstructured data collection. They want to be able to say, pointed at all of this stuff, and then make sense of it for me.
But they fail. Logic is so missing in design. Like, for instance, how many of us have cameras still where the pictures are just in serial number order, like DSC 67053. The next one is DSC 67054.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that makes no sense. We have atomic clocks, people. Can we not put it down to the millisecond of the picture name? So it has year, month, day, hour, minute, microsecond.
See, and I don't even want that. I want something better. So I automated from Dropbox, my camera uploads from my iPhone go to Dropbox, and then anytime they go to Dropbox, they go to Evernote, and then Evernote takes and puts the calendar event of my current calendar item at the beginning of the file name. So it gives me context about what meeting or other things I had going on that day for the picture.
Yeah, no, I love that. And a lot of the photos have geo-tracking, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, old photos or when you're trying to clean things up and videos and it's just like, it's a nightmare.
I think Google has gotten a lot better at it,
I was
though.
just like, Google is really cool. I mean, I stopped flowing through to Dropbox and now just go flow through Google
Totally.
because they group and they predict your events and it is kind of creepy because they correlate like where you were and what you were doing and.
They do auto awesome photos where if like your
Oh
daughter.
my god, Auto Awesome! But I haven't seen Auto Awesome for a while. I got to check in on that because I was obsessed. Like that's so cool. I love my Auto Awesome photos.
It still does it. I just uploaded, I think, 300 gigs worth of old stuff into there, and it just arranged it all so nicely.
Yeah.
And they do things. Have you been using Inbox on your phone instead of the Gmail app or Mail app?
No, I use R Spaces and I use that R Evolution platform for my.
My brother was telling me about Inbox, the tool that Gmail is the app provider. But they do contextual responses. So he got an email from his son's teacher, and it had pictures of the kids. And the suggested response was, "Oh, these are cute." Isn't that nutty? Okay, so then we started talking about it. This is last night. We had a geek out last night. We went to a brewery and met up with some other geeks. Um, and we talked about what if they were looking at that email and the pictures on the email and they did facial recognition, and then they also combined that with the facial recognition in your photos to determine you've got 4,000 pictures of this kid. He's obviously your son, and then change the responses based on that.
Yeah.
Like, it would say, that is such a
boy.
cute picture of my son named Britton. Ah! If we're getting too close to automating people, it's freaking me out now.
Well, we just have to look at something and it knows what I'm thinking and replying and what I should be thinking and replying. I love it.
So I was thinking about this too. It's just like, why are we so lagging in the way that systems can interact with us? Like just the whole thought of calling a help desk, for instance, and you're sitting on the queue. Like one of the things was American Airlines or U.S. Airways, one of those, it says, queue's really long. Do you want to just be called back?
Why should that even be a question?
Yeah, why should that even be a question? You know, why can't it go ahead and look up the fact that I have a reservation coming up, and and ask me simply, well, hey, I know that you're calling in, because it does recognize my number. It says, thank you, Matthew, for calling, which is pretty cool. It asks me then if I want to call it back, but I really want it to say, hey, are you calling about your reservation? Do you want to change it, or is there a problem with it? And
or if it sees that it's delayed, hey, I see that your flight is delayed. Did you want me to rebook? Like,
right.
I just spent, so last weekend was, we surprised my dad for his early birthday gift and flew him down to LA for the Cricket All-Stars match, which is
Very
huge
cool.
for all of us, which is pretty awesome because he was seeing like Babe Ruth basically play cricket. I mean, that's the equivalent. It's pretty awesome. So anyway, so in that, I had booked him a flight from Edmonton to Phoenix and then Phoenix to LA because, of course, lastminute.com, there's never any good flights. And and it was horrible. I mean, his flight was delayed going into Phoenix. There's no teller there at the gate agent, rather. Yeah. So then I thought, okay, maybe I'll help him. So I called the airline. The airline could not, they were like, we have basically couldn't tell me anything. Couldn't even give me a reason for why the plane. So I went to, what's that site? FlightAware.com. And I was like, I'm going to figure this shit out for myself. Sorry, whatever. But anyways, so I went on and I was able to say that, okay, look, your incoming flight is delayed. That's why. So the plane is in the air. So you're going to be in air soon. It's only an hour. And then I went through Expedia, actually talked to that agent, and ended up getting him booked on his connecting flight for the next one later. And I just reflected, and I was like, that was just a waste of an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, when I called the darn line, they should have said, your flight is delayed. It's delayed because you're in whatever reason. The flight is in air, so we expect it, and we've already rebooked you. But they don't take it that far. It blows my mind.
It's not even close.
Go.
I was going to say, I want to take it even further. I wanted to look at my calendar and know that I had just accepted an appointment in Los Angeles while I'm booked on a flight
right.
and say, hey, do we need to reschedule your flight to you just booked something in LA?
Bang on, because guess what? I was stressing that this guy is not going to make this cricket match, right? So it should have known that I had this on his calendar, and crap, this is a huge event because we had paid a good amount of money for those tickets, right? And so, bang on.
Yeah, it takes a lot of things, though, to get there. Money.
Logic.
Careful planning.
Developers use logic.
Logic.
Human logic.
Reasoning, yeah, it takes all those things. It takes good execution on top of that. You have to be able to listen and have loops. Man, it's just so much work hacking business technology.
It's so close, though. Like, I look at my Google phone now that I'm on a Droid, and when I go into my Google Planner, it will tell me, hey, you're coming up, you've got this trip coming up, here's the weather, here's the things to do in that city. It's getting smarter, but then there's stupid stuff like it'll tell me I had an appointment, 30 minutes ago in 10 minutes from now.
Yeah.
Like the real basics still are sometimes missing, and that's the problem with complex systems, right?
They're expensive and they're complex.
And they lack logic.
That is the problem with complex systems and hacking business technology. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.